Hey guys, Matt here from Green Mountain Gardening. Today we're going to show you guys exactly how we built this Costco shelf / seed starting setup and what we use to make it, so you guys can try to make it at home if you want. As you can see, it's a 3-tiered design, so 3 tiers here with 2 LED lamps on each of them, as well as air ventilation here with these little USB fans. The goal of this really was to try to draw minimal power while also making sure that we keep circulation, keep the warmth we need, and the light. So without further ado, I'm going to do a little bit of breakdown for you guys and show you guys what it took to make this. So for starters, the shelf. This is actually from Costco. I think it came out to like
$60.
So not too bad for stainless steel coated shelf. We'll have the actual specs for you in the video. We have these LED lights, the circulation fans here, which are USB powered, and of course the grow trays and these seed trays, which we actually got from the Epic Gardening website. We have the 6 cells, the larger 4 cells, and the smaller 16 cell trays. So with all these combinations and all of these seeds that we showed you in the last video that we're planning to plant out this season, I think we'll have a good mix here to get what we need started. Alright, now that I showed you a little bit about the stand that we have, I'm going to walk you through some of the numbers here so you can get an idea of what was purchased, how much of it was purchased, and finally what the total cost is. I'm also going to break down a more cost-effective one so you guys can see some other alternative options that might be just as appealing to you if you want to try to pursue something like this in the future. Alright, starting off we have the shelf, which was the original item that I got from Costco. Came out to $59.99 on here. I'm pretty sure when I bought it in person it was on sale. That being said, I haven't seen it in stores since, so the only place I could find it was online. But yeah, it's a pretty sturdy shelf. I haven't had any issues with it. The one thing that was a little strange is the form factor, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but made some of the choices for seed tray sizing a little bit awkward, so maybe you want to keep that in mind if you're doing a setup similar to this in the future. But yeah, overall, works really well for me, and as you can see, it's here for 60 bucks. Moving over to the grow lights, this was a 2-pack that I found on Amazon for relatively cheap. This is a $40 set for 2. They also daisy chained together, which I really liked because that meant I could take 2 lights and use 1 plug instead of 2, which I found to be very, very nice when trying to actually cable manage the setup. Made it a little bit cleaner, especially running it down the side. So with this grow light, it's an 80-watt setup, so to speak. It's 2 40 watts, which if you actually know how wattage works, doesn't really equal exactly 80 like that. But from what I can tell so far from the seeds I have started using this setup, it seems to be plenty of light, especially at the height that is set on the shelves. And if you can see, they have kind of these different rail setups. The one that they show in this is the longer chain configuration, but I actually took out the chains and instead just used the top clip. And that top clip I was able to just hook right on the top rack above the rack I'm lighting, and it seemed to work just fine. So for this, I have the 2-pack, and I bought it 3 times for a total of 6 lights, and at $39.99 each, that comes out to $119.97 for the set of 3. Next will be the fans I use for air circulation in this setup, and with that, I'm using these Beskar small clip fans, 3 speeds. I usually set it to the 2nd speed setting because I feel like the 3rd is a little loud and the 1st one's a little bit too low on the airflow. But these are nice because I can literally just clip them directly onto the rack, so I don't need to fix them in any weird way with tape or glue. They just go on and I can take them off just as easily. For one of these fans, they're a little bit on the pricier side, running them up about $20 each, so $19.99. So for 3 fans, that's a total of $59.97. Now, with the fans, you also will probably need a way to power the fans because they don't come with their own wall wart. So I got this 4-piece USB plug. I can run all 3 off of this without any issues, so I don't anticipate there being any problems on your end. The plug itself is $7.99, so not too bad, but definitely are some cheaper options, which I'll show you later on. So going back to what I was saying about the form factor of the shelf, it actually doesn't allow you for a standard size grow tray. So that's the one caveat with this setup is I like the size, but it does mean that you're gonna have to compromise a little bit on your seed tray setup. So for this set, I got these Grow Near 6-packs, and I have them in a 15 by 11 by 2.6 inch. And a 6-pack is all you'll need for those 3 shelves because you're gonna fit 2 of those per. So the 6-pack came in at not too much money at $18.99, and one of these should suffice. It also comes with some plant labels, which is kind of an added bonus because you'll have something to actually label the seeds that you start. So that's obviously really useful. You'll think you'll remember, but trust me, you'll forget exactly what you planted and where it was unless you use something like this. So it's nice that it comes with a set of 15 for you to at least get started on that. You can use whatever you want for it, obviously popsicle sticks, scrap paper, masking tape. I've used all of that, so you don't need these, but they are nice to have. I'm also including the outlet surge protector in this simply for the sake of completion. This is literally everything you will need to get your seed starting setup up and running. And with this, I just got the 6 outlet setup. The one thing I did like about these is that you can actually rotate the plug socket to cover the plug. The reason why I like this is just in the case that I do spill some water, it will likely be a little bit harder for that to penetrate into the surge protector if all those holes are plugged, so to speak. But yeah, obviously not necessary, and I have an option for you that's a little bit cheaper. Moving on to the seed trays. So like I mentioned, I bought all of my seed trays off of Epic Gardening's website. Specifically, the ones that I bought the most of are the 6 cells starting trays. While these are a bit more costly at $60 for a set of 24, the product is incredibly rigid and very reusable. So if you want to make that upfront investment like I did, I think it's worthwhile in the future. So you don't have to keep buying more flimsy, single, double, triple use products and instead can buy something that will last you a really long time. I actually bought these in 2 segments, so 2 12-packs. The first one I bought a few years back now, and they work just as well as the new ones that I just bought. Seriously, no complaints overall with these products, and that's why I keep buying them. And moving on to the 4-cell trays, I have only a 4-pack of the 4 cells, just to try them out. I've never used them before, but for larger items like zucchini or things of that size, I think that they will come in handy, so I decided to get some. The 4-cell seed tray came out to $18, which again, not a super necessary buy, but again, if you want to copy exactly what I have, this is what I bought. And finally, moving on to the last of these seed cells, we have the Epic 16 seed cell trays, a 4-pack for $12, so not too bad of an investment, but again, this will be nice for some of the leafy greens that don't necessarily need as long in these seed cells. It gives you a little bit more for the space, as well as having to use a little bit less soil, which could be beneficial from, again, a cost savings perspective later on. So after adding all those pieces together, we have a total of $369.85. While it might be a little bit on the pricier side, I think it is a worthwhile investment, and I think this will be a system that I use for years to come. As I mentioned before though, I did come up with a more cost-effective list for you guys, so if you want to try to replicate something similar to this setup, I do have that here, and I'm going to walk you through some of those options as well so you can take a better look at that. And starting off with that cost-effective seed starting setup, we actually have the Costco rack again. I couldn't actually find much cheaper for the exact same form factor. If you don't have a Costco subscription though, I did find another option on Amazon. Same exact price, and honestly looks exactly the same. Probably a similar supplier if I had to guess. But yeah, this is the exact same dimensions, and again, the exact same price, so no savings there. Similarly, I really couldn't find a better deal on grow lights that have that daisy chain capability to allow for kind of easier cable management later on. So we're sticking with the same lights that I had originally spec'd out. Now this is where some of the savings starts to kick in. For the air circulation, I found these Gaia Top fans with a similar 3-speed settings. The one thing with these is that they don't have a clip-on base, so you're gonna have to get a little bit crafty with how you attach these. You could probably use zip ties to attach it to the top, or if you have some sort of double-sided adhesive, that could probably work just as well too. As I mentioned, since this shelf is a certain form factor, I really couldn't find many other seed trays that have the exact same capabilities as what we were looking for, so I am using the exact same trays in this setup as well, coming out at $19. They're really rigid, and I have already reused them before, and they seem to work just fine. Where again things get a little bit more cost effective is transitioning away from those Epic Gardening seed cells and going to a more traditional not necessarily single use, but lower use trays. I found this 30-piece 6-cell tray for literally under $10. So this is definitely some place that you can save a lot more money if you're trying to look for this for a little bit more of a short-term setup, and you don't want to necessarily make that upfront investment right away. In my limited research, I couldn't find an equivalent for the 4 cells, but I was able to find something that matches the 16 cells. And here we have a set of 12 16-cell trays for $15. So again, in coupling those two together, you're going to have just as many cells and trays as I did for my original setup. With those new additions, that actually comes out to about $100 less than the seed starting setup that I made at $272.22. So I'm gonna leave all of these Amazon links in the description for you guys, so you guys can try to build this yourself if you want, and let me know if you guys end up doing this and what you think of the build. But seriously guys, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the second video here on the Green Mountain Gardening channel. We have so many videos coming, and I hope you guys stick around to see them. Thanks so much.